All right, so the demo I'll be creating here will be recreating something like this scene here, which you can see broken up from these number of images. Now, all the images I pulled from Unsplash. I'm going to walk you through them real quick. So we've got this woman here. We've got these two women here. Now, the special thing going on here is the fact that we've only got one eye for each. We're kind of limited in what we can take from each one because we only have half of the face. So this is kind of going to be our starting off point, maybe. We'll see. We have this woman here. We've got this woman here. We have this man here. We have this man here. And we have this man here. Now, in looking these over, I liked this one best for the overall. We get enough around his face that we get his full head and everything. There are a couple others we're getting the full head, but I like this one as a good starting off point. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is say File, New, and bring this around. I think it's going to open up on my other screen. If it opens, there we go. Okay, so new. Your options here, I'm going to give you a couple different choices. Under art and illustration, you can choose poster, or under print, you can use tabloid. Okay, so tabloid is going to come out 11 by 17, and poster is going to come out 18 by 24. Okay, both of them should be printing out at 300 ppi. Okay, I'm going to go with poster size and say create on that. And then it's going to open up my blank page. Now, one thing that I like about poster, and you know what, I should go ahead and open the other one just to show you guys. New, and I choose, sorry, under print, tabloid. You'll notice tabloid is more rectangular. Okay, it's tall and rectangle. This one is a little bit wider. It's more like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper in ratio, height to width. But tabloid, it's print's a little taller. Now, tabloid, you're more likely to find, basically what a tabloid is it's two sheets of paper side by side. Okay, and then it's taking it and making it lengthwise. Okay, I don't want the tabloid one. I'm going to go ahead and close that one. I want to work with this one. So first, I got to go here to this image. And what I'm going to do to select my initial image, actually, I'm going to use this for all of them. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and use the rectangular marquee and select his whole head here, all the space around it, Control C to copy, and bring that over into Untitled 1, Control V to paste. Now, I want to resize this, and if you don't have this set up correctly, you won't see the bounding box around it. You can always go to Edit, Transform, and Free Transform, or you can click this box that says Show Transform Controls, and remember to hold Shift while resizing it so that it constrains the properties. And I'm going to bring him so he's filling up pretty much the whole page, because the human figure here is going to be my eye-catching graphic. Okay, now I know in the example one thing that's happening is it is going and it's a little bit more cubist approach. It's got it rotating around head from different angles. I'm going to aim for the head all at the same angle, but I'm just showing you how to do this. You can do with what you want. Now, what I did on Unsplash is I looked for portraits. That was my search term. And then I chose several that were just looking straight on. You can choose them where they're doing different angles. All right, so anyway, next up, let's go ahead and grab this guy. I'm going to grab a rectangle of his whole head, Control C to copy, back over here in Untitled 1, Control V to paste. Okay, and I'm just going to, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and position him now. So to position him, I'm going to reduce the opacity on that layer. You can see I'm up here on the right-hand side to about 50%. And then I'm going to click on my transform control and just kind of stick them up here in the corner and holding shift to make sure to constrain. And what I want to focus on is the eyes. Okay, I'm going to make sure the eyes line up in all of my portraits. And then I know that at least I've got that as consistent. Now, where their mouth position is, where their nose position is, there's going to be some variety, but you can only control so many factors. Okay, you press enter or you hit the check mark up here to commit your transformation, and then I go ahead and go to the next one. Now that I'm done with him, I can close that file. Okay, and let's actually go to, whoops. Okay, still have untitled. Good. Okay, so I can close this file, which it's not letting me. It's hiding it. Okay, so I got to go to this one. Let's go ahead and rectangular marquee, draw a box around him. Control C to copy. Control V to paste. And I'm going to resize. Now, this is going to be basically me going through the same thing a few different times. I don't really have a way to pause and restart a little bit later on in the video, so if you want to just do this on your own and let it play. Okay, a little easier lining up the eyes that time. Okay, didn't have to rotate the head at all. Press enter or the check mark up here to commit your transformation. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to be going over the same kind of thing. So if you want to jump ahead or just let this play while you are doing your work, that's fine. Oops. Just trying to close this one. Okay, I'm closing as I go to make sure that I don't know, just get it out of my way. All right, now first woman in the batch. Let's go ahead and grab all that. Control C to copy. Let's go over here to untitled. Control V to paste. And her picture comes out a little bit smaller, so I'm going to have to resize quite a bit more. Make sure, again, make sure you're holding shift so you're constraining the properties, and definitely need to rotate. Now to rotate, you move out to the side until you get that little curved arrow. Once you've got that curved arrow, you can rotate it. She needs to be a little bit bigger. And especially if they're starting out smaller, you will see it pixelate. Like if you look at her, it's looking a little pixelated, but as soon as I commit the transformation, it's going to resolve a little bit. Okay, if I have to increase it a lot, that's why we're working with high resolution images. I'm telling you to work from Unsplash because you're less likely to get it pixelated. So press enter there. I'm gonna go ahead and move her a little bit more to the right. All right, looking a little weird with his wrinkles showing up under her face. Kind of creates a cool effect. All right, so that's Cal Visuals. Let's turn that one off. Let's go to prints here. And this up here, it's the artist's name. Okay, so let's rectangular marquee again. Draw a box around it. Control C. Back over here to untitled. Control V. And turn down the opacity. It's not an exact science with the opacity. You basically want it, and you want to be able to see the image enough that you can see the image, but see through enough so that you can tell that you're lining it up correctly. Okay, and basically I'm trying to get the center of the pupil lined up. That's my goal with it. Okay, next. All right, let's move prints and let's go to Hannes. Okay, so now this is the unique one that we've got only half of the face. So I'm going to select first one half. Control C, jump over here, Control V. Okay, and then let's change that up. Oops, too far. There we go. And I can only line her up with one side. So I'm going to line her up there. And if I line up the eye initially like that and I hold the Alt key, it'll expand based on the eye. Now, with most of them, you're not going to be able to do that because they've got two eyes. But this one you can. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit. Kind of look at where the mouth is falling in terms of that, since I don't have both eyes to line up. All right, and let's get the other side here. Back to the rectangular marquee. Draw a box around it, Control C, and back over to here, Control V. Okay, and then move it into place. Oops. This one I'll be able to do that same thing. I will get the eye kind of lined up, and then when I grab the corner, I hold the Alt key along with Shift, and the eye's not lined up anymore. It's a little too big, actually. Okay. Bring the opacity down some more. I can't quite see the face under it. All right. Let's bring that up some. Okay, it's a little too big, it looks like. Whoa, that was weird. Okay, try that again. Why? Okay, that's going wonky on me. Hold on. There we go. All right. I think it's because I was trying to hold Alt before moving it. And you can use the arrow keys to fine tune it. If it's 1 or 2 pixels off, you can use the arrow keys to kind of get that lined back up. Looks like it's still a little too small compared to the eye next to it. All right, we're going to leave it right there. All right, next. I can close that one. Go to Omid. So let's grab her face here. Now this one we don't have the whole head, so definitely can't go with a the side of the head on this one. It's got to be more central, but I can still do the same kind of lining up. Okay, we'll get it roughly where I think it's going to go. Make sure I hold Shift. Whoops. Went back to holding Alt too. Looks like I need to rotate it just a touch. It feels like I may have gotten one of my heads positioned a little bit lower because she looks like she's rotated more than she needs to be. Again, you press Enter or the check mark up the top to clear that one. All right, and I believe that was the last one. Yes. All right, so I can close that one. Not sure what I adjusted there. Okay, so from here, now before I go adjusting these, I need to go and turn the opacity back up to 100% on all of them. All right, now I found one of the easiest ways. So if you tuned out, now would be the time that you're tuning back in, or if you're still dropping in your images and you're listening, pause it, finish up your images, and then continue on. So the next thing I'm going to do is hide all these layers too. I basically only want to be looking at the one layer that I'm working with. Now this one, obviously, this is basically your background. So I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to bring this layer up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick part of his face that I want to work with. Okay, so let's say I want this right here. I'm going to do it in a long strip, okay, rectangular marquee, and then down here, okay, the layer mask tool. Now, when you make a selection like this and you click the layer mask, what it's going to do is automatically create a mask for you and mask out everything that's not selected. So it's going to hide it all. And it's better, way better than erasing because it's non-destructive. If you decide, oh, there's something I wanted a little bit more of his head here, you can always add a little bit more of his head. If you look at your mask here, it's all black with one white stripe. Now, just a quick note here. If ever you're looking at your mask and you have a second mask here, you've gone too far. Just toss that other mask, okay? So now let's bring up this next one. And I'm going to go ahead and, oh, you know what? I kind of want to put this layer below that, okay, so I can see what's going on better. Okay, so I will go ahead and click right here so it lines up with this next piece. And let's get part of his eye going on. All right, so I get part of his eye, and then I hit the mask, just like that. It's merging into his eye really nicely, although we've got a weird thing with his cheek happening. Okay, I'm going to leave it for now. It might work out, it might not. Okay, now remember we had that one exception up here where because we've only got half of her face, we've got a little bit of an issue going on. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and bring her down below that layer. I like the way that's lined up, and I'm making sure that layer is targeted. And let's go ahead and draw a box around here. I'm going to take her eye right there. And let's move that over just a touch because I saw there was a space between the two. Okay, I want it very, very close together. Okay, and go ahead and layer mask it in. All right, so we've got her face in there as well. Looks like the faces are getting smaller as we go. It's kind of a weird effect, but okay, we'll deal with it. Let's go ahead and put her in there. Now, the thing I really like her hair over on this side. So what I'm going to actually do over here is go ahead and grab that part of the figure. Okay, so just grabbing the side of her head right there so that we get some of that hair going on. Do I want that bigger? I'm going to go ahead and make that bigger. So I click off of the space, So I'm going to make her the side of the head out this way, right? And mask that in. Now, a little bit of a problem going on there size-wise. I may end up saying, okay, well, since I can't see her face anyway, let's tweak and pull that one down. Okay, same thing going on right here. We might take his layer. Now, one thing to note is I was able to click on him and start moving it because auto select is chosen. If it's not on yours, you'll need to make sure you manually go and pick the layer that you want to work with. Problem is, if I come in too far with him, the second ear shows up. So I don't want that second ear in there, so I'm just going to leave him where he was. Let's arrow and move over a pixel or two. Okay, so on to the next one. Let's go ahead and drop her in. I make the layer visible first, and I bring it below the others so I can see what I'm already working with. And I really like this strip right here. So let's go ahead and put that in there. We'll let that be the rest of the eye. And we'll bring in her big, beautiful smile there. And say mask. Oops, lost my place there for a moment. All right. Oh, now that smile looks really weird. All right, so I'm going to undo that one. Let's try coming over from the other side, maybe. Okay, so I'm going to come in from the other side, and let's mask that. The smile looked really weird because it was so out of place with the other mouths. Her head is slightly at a different angle, so it didn't work. Okay, if you find something doesn't work, don't be stuck with it. It's not rocket science. It's a matter of just kind of fine tuning and figuring out what looks best. Okay. Also, because of the angle of the head, we've got a weird jaw thing going on, but we're going to hold on to that. I'm going to leave it for now. Now, with this one, oh, her head is way too small. I don't know why I thought that was the right size. I'm going to leave her out for the moment because I think we've got enough faces as it is. So I'm going to bring hers in. Let's make it visible. And let's come and take this part right here. Okay, I think I'm going to resize this. Okay, again, make sure you're holding shift. I'm just going to manually resize this and look at where these lips are. Okay, because the eye is going to be pretty well hidden. So I'm going to line up the lips a little bit better and then just a crook of the eye right there. And check mark to commit. And go ahead and draw a box around the part that I'm taking. And mask. All right, so we're left with his face, and you might end up going in and resizing and retweaking and figuring out, okay, I want that one a little bit bigger so this is lined up better. So these three mouths are doing something a little more interesting. Or maybe I'll target him, make his face a little bit smaller. Okay. Unfortunately, if I do that, I start to lose where that eye is coming in. Okay, and commit that. Let's move hers up a little bit. And it's basically fine tuning. Okay, figuring out, okay, that's an image that I like. Okay, and if when you get to that point, you're good. Now, the last thing, okay, and this is totally optional. If you're like, okay, you know what? I like the more even tone from the example one. Okay, oops, that's a different image. So what I did here to get that more even tone was I added a filter. Okay, so, or not a filter, but an adjustment layer. Okay, so to do that, you make sure you target the uppermost layer. Okay, in this case, I'm going to go with the blank one, layer 7 here. And right here, the one that's a half circle, that's going to be your adjustment layer. So you click and hold on that, and I can choose black and white. Okay, when I do that, it's automatically going to convert it to black and white. And that makes your tones a little bit more even, makes it look a little more connected. Okay, once you've got this, you've got your graphic element. Okay, and another thing that you could do as just an example, let's say this is looking a little too scattered, a little too disjointed for you. Okay, another option for you is drop in a new layer on top here. So drop in a new layer, and I'm going to use the paint bucket and just fill the whole thing with white. Okay, now once that whole thing is filled with white or black or any other color, if you want it to be a color, you can bring it up above, and I can show you this here. Okay, let's say I wanted to make it kind of a slate blue. Excuse me. All right, so I fill that in. Now, as long as it's above that adjustment layer, it's going to be color. If I bring it below, it's black and white. Okay, so that's the way those layers work. Now, if I do that same thing, let's draw a box in here. And I'm just guessing at this point. What I could actually do is drop the opacity down on that layer and actually see what I want. Okay, and I can see what I want. I can say, no, nope, don't like that. Let's try to draw another one. Okay, so I draw it a little bit bigger this time. Get it like that. All right, now, turn the opacity back up. If I mask it, it's going to mask everything outside of that. So just to show you real quick, and that's not what I want. What I wanted was to create a frame. Okay, so an option here, anytime you want to create a frame or something like that, make the box that you want, but then go up here to select and choose inverse. When you choose inverse, it's going to choose the opposite. Then if I go and choose the frame, okay, and then that's going to allow me to type in to this space. Graphic design. Fortunately, my text is set to the same color, so all I got to do is click off of that. Let's click back on and make it white, for instance. Okay, now it's white. Okay, and I misspelled design. Let's go back to the type tool. Design. And let's increase the size. I got to manually type this in because this is a pretty big image. 72 ppi, or 72 point font is only 1 inch. So I need to manually type this in, let's say like 400. Okay, and then that's going to be something that, oops. Let's try that again. I had something selected there, so it didn't come out right. So 400 tab, and that's way too big. Let's take it down to 200. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. And you can decide if that's or if the font that you've got there is going to work for you. I kind of like that one for it, but if you want to play around with it, you can always just choose the type tool there and pick from any number of other fonts going on. Why did it do that? Okay, let's try that again. Because I don't have that layer selected anymore. Now that that layer is selected, that's one of the problems with having that auto select thing on, is that it will sometimes do weird things like that. Okay, graphic design, and move it over until I get that pink line down the middle. That's telling me it's centered. There we go. Okay, so then you would develop and add the rest of the text there. This gives you a nice little text box to work from. You've got a really cool visual graphic that you had to actually do something for. You're not just grabbing an image and dropping it in there. Okay, so that is one example there, and I'm going to move on and show you the other example as well.